You think you know your partner, your best friend, your boss. You don't. Carl Jung would look you in the eye and tell you that the real person never shows up in the polished moments. The truth leaks out in two tiny moments that most people cannot control. If you learn to spot them, you will never see people the same way again. And you will never see yourself the same way either. Think about how often we trust the performance, the pleasant smile, the tidy resume, the Instagram version of a life. We shake hands, we swap small talk, and we convince ourselves we have read the person. But here is the uncomfortable reality. The performance is a costume. It is stitched with habits, approval seeking, and a desperate need to be seen as good. It is not the character. The character lives underneath waiting for a crack. You have seen those cracks. A joke falls flat and someone's face hardens. A waiter brings the wrong order and the charming date turns cold. A colleague hears a tough comment and suddenly the team player looks like a prosecutor. For a second, the mask slips. That second is the only second that matters. Jung's point is brutal in its simplicity. If you want to find the truth, stop listening for perfect words and start watching for small ruptures. Watch what a person hates in others that they cannot stop talking about. Watch what happens when their image is threatened. Those two signals expose more than years of polite conversation. And yes, this cuts both ways. The same two signals expose you. Your loudest judgments point to the parts of yourself you refuse to claim. Your worst reactions under pressure reveal the self you try to hide. You might think you are hiding it well. Your body tells on you anyway. If that makes you uneasy, good. Discomfort is the doorway. Let me show you what this looks like in the wild, not in a textbook. We will start with a scene you have probably lived through or caused without realizing it. A cheerful office, a gentle critique, and then the first mask hits the floor. Picture this. You are in a bright office on a Tuesday morning. Everyone is smiling, trading polite hellos. One colleague in particular always seems easygoing. They bring donuts, they compliment others, they laugh at the boss's jokes. You might even think of them as the safe one, the person who never causes trouble. Then something tiny happens. The boss gives feedback. It is not brutal, not a public shaming, just a calm suggestion that a report could have been clearer. And in that moment, the shift is instant. The smile freezes. The voice rises half an octave sharper than usual. Their eyes narrow, the warmth drains, and suddenly the donuts mean nothing. The mask slips. You have felt the chill of that moment before. It is jarring because it breaks the story you had in your head about who this person was. The friendly colleague vanishes, and for a split second, you see the raw person underneath, defensive, prickly, maybe even resentful. That glimpse is often more real than months of polite hallway chats. This is what Jung meant when he said every human being wears a persona, a mask designed to survive society. It is not evil, it is necessary. But no matter how polished that mask looks, stress cracks it. The colleague did not choose to reveal their defensiveness. Their body did it for them. Their tone did it for them. The unsettling part is not that masks exist. The unsettling part is that they always betray us. You can practice charm for years, but the moment you are pressed, your core leaks through. And once someone sees it, they cannot unsee it. Think back. When was the last time you watched a mask fall? Maybe it was a friend who prides themselves on being calm until traffic set them off screaming. Maybe it was a partner who insists they are confident until a small rejection left them sulking for hours. Those moments were not accidents. They were revelations. And if you were honest, you know you have cracked too. The time you snapped at someone who did not deserve it. The way your smile disappeared when someone else got the credit. That is the truth Jung wanted us to face. But this is only the beginning, because Jung discovered a darker, deeper signal. It is not about how someone acts when they are criticized. It is about who they cannot stop judging. That is where the shadow lives. And once you see it, you will never hear criticism the same way again. There is a man named David. If you met him at first, you would probably like him. He works hard, he is sharp with details, and he wears integrity like a badge. But spend 5 minutes in a meeting with him, and you will notice something. He cannot stop complaining about his colleague Marcus. Marcus is fake. Marcus manipulates clients. Marcus is all charm and no substance. David says these things often with unusual heat in his voice. His jaw tightens, his tone sharpens, and his words repeat like a drum beat. You might think David is just venting about a coworker. Jung would say otherwise. Jung would say David is exposing himself. Here's the harsh truth. The traits you condemn most loudly in others are usually the ones you have buried in yourself. The louder the judgment, the clearer the confession. David insists Marcus is fake because David secretly envies Marcus's social ease. David wants to be smooth with clients admired for his charisma, but he convinced himself that wanting that makes him weak. So he buried the desire, and now he spits fire at anyone who reminds him of it. That buried part is what Jung called the shadow. And the shadow never stays buried. It leaks out through our judgments. Think about it. Why do you shrug at some flaws in people but burn with rage at others? It is not random. It is personal. Your rage is a mirror. The shadow shows itself in different ways. Maybe someone calls others lazy all the time. Underneath, they fear their own laziness. Maybe someone labels people needy or clingy. Underneath, they are terrified of their own hunger for connection. The projection works both negatively and positively. That friend who idolizes others as so talented or so confident is often staring at qualities they already have but refuse to own. This is why the shadow is dangerous. You think you are describing someone else. You are really describing yourself. And here is where it gets uncomfortable. Once you know this, you cannot unhear people's judgments. Every insult becomes a confession. Every pedestal becomes an admission. That family member who calls everyone selfish might be struggling with their own need for attention. That boss who accuses others of being disloyal may be hiding their own shaky sense of loyalty. But the shadow is not just theory. You can spot it in real time if you pay attention. Watch for intensity. Someone makes a mild mistake and another person reacts like it is a crime. Someone shows off a little and another person tears them down like they committed a sin. Disproportionate reactions are flashing lights. They tell you the person is not just reacting to reality. They are wrestling with themselves. And the same is true for you. Think about the last time someone irritated you beyond reason. Why did it bother you so much? Why did you keep replaying it in your mind long after it was over? That obsession was not about them. It was about you. Maybe you hated their arrogance because deep down, you wrestled with your own need to feel important. Maybe you rolled your eyes at their attention-seeking because you crave the same spotlight. The shadow is merciless in this way. It forces you to see yourself where you least want to look. Now, pause for a moment. Imagine how different your relationships would look if you read judgments as confessions. The coworker who mocks everyone's ambition. He is terrified of his own. The friend who sneers at people posting selfies. She secretly wishes she had the courage to show herself. The truth is, once you know this lens, you will see shadows everywhere. But here is the hardest part. Shadows do not only reveal envy or insecurity, they also reveal potential. That thing you cannot stand in someone else might be the exact quality you need to develop. David hated Marcus's charm, but what if charm could help him connect better, sell ideas, and move people? His shadow was not his enemy. It was a road sign pointing to growth. So the next time you catch yourself hating something in another person, stop. Ask yourself, what does this say about me? What part of me am I refusing to accept? If you are brave enough to answer honestly, you will realize the shadow is not just darkness. It is a map. That map leads somewhere. And it leads to a second reveal, one that Jung believed is even more damning. Because while the shadow leaks out through judgments, the mask rips apart under pressure. And when that happens, you are no longer guessing. You are watching the raw truth claw its way to the surface. Let's leave David for a moment and meet Sarah. On paper, she is exactly the kind of professional you would want running your team. Calm, polished, always in control. If you ask her colleagues, they will tell you she is unshakable. If you meet her at a conference, you will be impressed by her poise. Sarah is the person who never seems rattled. Until one afternoon in a high-stakes client meeting, the client questions her team's strategy. It is not an attack, just a challenge. But in seconds, Sarah's mask begins to split. Her back stiffens. Her voice sharpens. She interrupts. The client deflects blame onto her team, even throws subtle digs about the client's own past choices. In less than a minute, the calm professional vanishes. What remains is someone defensive, insecure, and ready to sacrifice others to protect herself. That is the real Sarah, the one the mask was built to hide. This is what Jung meant when he said the mask or persona is always fragile. We spend enormous energy building it, polishing it, holding it in place, but pressure exposes us. Criticism, rejection, embarrassment. These tiny sparks can burn holes through the mask. And in those moments, our authentic patterns emerge. If you know what to watch for, the cracks are obvious. Listen to the voice. Does it suddenly rise, tighten, or grow sharp? Look at the face. A smile can harden into a thin line. Eyes can dart or narrow. Eyebrows lock down. The body gives even more away, arms folding across the chest, fingers clenching, posture stiff as a board. The behavior completes the reveal, interrupting, deflecting, attacking, over-explaining. The more effort someone puts into looking composed, the more dramatic the collapse when the mask slips. And you do not need a boardroom to see this. Watch someone when their phone dies and they cannot check their feed. Notice the twitch in their face when they are ignored in a group conversation. See how quickly a relaxed smile disappears when nobody laughs at their joke. These are micro cracks, but they are as telling as a meltdown. They show you who the person really is when their image control fails. This is the second dark secret Jung uncovered. A person's authentic character does not appear in their highlight reel. It shows up when their performance fails. And failure can be as small as a late train, a closed door, a moment of silence. Now, here is where it cuts close. Think back to the last time you cracked. Maybe it was when someone embarrassed you in public. Maybe it was when you lost your temper over something small like a long line or a missed call. You thought you had yourself under control, but your reaction told a different story. The truth is, you wear a mask too, and you cannot always hold it up. That should make you pause, because every defensive snap, every forced smile, every sarcastic remark under pressure is your mask splitting in front of an audience. People are reading you in those moments, whether you realize it or not. This is why Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. The more you accept yourself, the fewer masks you need, and the less fragile you become under stress. Integrated people, as Jung called them, show little difference between their public face and their private reactions. They do not shatter when tested because they are not pretending as much. But most people are pretending. Most people are clinging to a mask, which means most people will crack. The question is not if, it is when. And when they do, the truth spills out for anyone watching closely enough. And here is the shocker. These two reveals what you judge in others and how you react. When the mask slips, do not just expose other people, they expose you. Every harsh judgment you fling, every defensive move you make under pressure, all of it is evidence of your own hidden nature. You are not just the observer in this story. You are the subject. So ask yourself, what do your cracks say about you? What truths leak out when you are pushed? You might believe you are hiding them. You are not. The people around you have already seen them. And that brings us to the most unsettling part of Jung's discovery. It is one thing to catch others. It is another to realize you cannot escape being caught yourself. The mirror always turns back, and what it shows is rarely flattering. You probably believe you are good at hiding. You smooth your tone in meetings. You rehearse the smile in photos. You swallow words before they escape. But Jung would tell you bluntly, your body and your reactions betray you every single day. Think about the last time someone gave you feedback. You laughed it off, nodded politely. But under the table, your hands were clenched, your shoulders stiff. You said, "No problem," but your body shouted, "I hate this. That was not performance. That was truth." Or imagine being compared to someone else. You said, "I don't care," but you did. The thought gnawed at you for hours. You replayed it in your head, constructed comebacks you never said. Out loud you were calm, but inside you were restless, exposed. Even your judgments betray you. The person you criticize the most is often your closest mirror. You call someone arrogant, and yet you secretly hunger for respect. You call someone needy, and yet you ache for attention. You think you are describing them. You are really describing you. That is the brutal truth. Every crack in your mask, every harsh word, every defensive twitch. Those are not accidents. They are broadcasts of your authentic character. People see them. They may not name them, but they feel them. And once they do, they will never see you the same way again. This is not meant to shame you. It is meant to wake you up. Because the danger is not that others can read you. The danger is that you refuse to read yourself. If you keep denying what leaks out, you become trapped in a cycle of projection and defense. You become a prisoner of the very parts of yourself you try hardest to bury. Jung believed there is a way out. A simple test. A test that reveals whether you are stuck in denial or ready for growth. Most people fail it. The few who pass change their lives forever. And that is where we go next. The test is coming. And once you hear it, you will know exactly where you stand. Here is the test Jung left us with. It is not complicated. It does not require a therapist or a questionnaire. It only requires one uncomfortable moment. Someone points out a flaw in you. Maybe they say you are controlling. Maybe they hint that you were jealous. Maybe they tell you you are not as confident as you look. What happens next is the test. Most people fail. They get defensive. They snap back. That's not me. They shift blame, laugh it off, or attack the messenger. This is the mind protecting itself. But it is also the clearest signal that the person is trapped in their unconscious shadow. They are ruled by the very thing they refuse to face. A smaller number of people pass. They pause. They feel the sting. And then they admit, maybe there is some truth in that. Maybe I do get jealous. Maybe I do put on a show. That pause, that moment of ownership, is what Jung called integration. It is not about being perfect. It is about being awake. I remember facing this test myself. There was someone in my life who constantly demanded attention. I judged them harshly, rolled my eyes, told myself I was above it. Then one day a friend asked me, "Do you think their need for validation bothers you because you crave it too?" My first reaction was denial, but then I felt the truth land. Yes, I wanted validation. I just hid it behind harder words. That admission changed me more than any book ever could. This is the final mirror. Every person you judge, every mask you see crack is an invitation to look back at yourself. You can dodge it, but the mirror waits. Jung's question is not, can you spot the truth in others? The real question is, when the mirror turns toward you, will you look? Because that is the only way out. Not more masks, not louder judgments. Just the courage to face your shadow and claim it as yours. The choice is yours. Hide and stay trapped, or look and finally become who you are.